Hi everybody, welcome to this episode of Net Zero Academic. Academic communication is the key that each researcher and academic must master in order to discuss and share their research with the wider community. So that is why in this episode I wanted to discuss how you can use traditional and new outlets to share your research. So let's get started. As in each episode, we're going to start with a short presentation and then I'm going to move to the Q&A session. Okay, so if you're listening to this in the form of a podcast, the presentation will be linked in the description below. So academic communication, pretty important stuff that you need to master in your PhD, in your postdoc, and later on in your career, because mostly we're doing our research to help others, right? So we doing research, we generating new knowledge, and that new knowledge needs to be disseminated with the wider audience in order to achieve impact. So in this short presentation, I hope, I'm going to talk about what are the possible research outlets, right? How you can disseminate your research. What is the comparison between conventional research papers and social media? What's the value of both? What are the benefits? And is one of those better or not? Do we need both? And then I'll talk about how do we leverage social media to achieve even bigger impact with our research. And this is all based on the experience that I've been building over the past couple of years. But a little bit about me. If you haven't heard about me before, my name is David. I'm a net zero academic and I pioneer and assess feasibility of net zero processes. I've been doing that for the past 10 years, working mostly on carbon capture, hydrogen production, and direct air capture. But for some time now, I do support early career researchers in disseminating their research and achieving success in their academic careers. So if you want to learn more about what I do, just let me know and I'm happy to discuss. So, to the topic of this episode. Research outlets. How do you disseminate your research? So this is a very interesting question to me because I've started reflecting on that a couple of years ago, mostly because, well, I thought there is more than just pure research papers, right? The ultimate goal for us is to publish a research paper or disseminate our research in the form of a research paper because that's something like a quality stamp, right? If you publish in a prestigious journal, it went through the peer review process. If it's accepted for publication, it means that other people actually reviewed that and they say that your research is valid, right? It's valid, your claims are valid, your methodology is valid, and that's why you have this quality stamp. Of course, peer review isn't perfect, let's agree on that, but to some extent, peer review can improve the quality of your research. So, what are the other options that you have to disseminate your research? So I put this kind of diagram together, but where do you publish? We of course have academic papers, as I mentioned, academic papers, but there's much wider audience that might be interested in your research. So including policymakers, industry professionals in your research area as well. So you might want to produce briefing documents out of your academic papers. That would be a little bit more specific on application. So that would be more kind of focused on application and implications of your research to the real world. Okay, so that briefing document's meant to be brief description of your research and just focus on the outputs. Okay, that's what it should be. Trade articles, very interesting. I started doing trade articles some time ago. I found it really encouraging in terms of the feedback that I received from professionals in my area, which is energy. So I do publish in some of the trade articles related to energy and process engineering, mostly because of my background, but there are so many of them. So trade article is basically a magazine. It's an article in a magazine read by professionals in your field. So it's mostly widely available. It is focused on the, for example, engineering part of what you do, and again, on the application. So it's very practical type of an article that you want to publish. And what you can do actually is you can use your research paper and then reflect on how you would use, or how would the outcomes of your research paper inform decisions of the decision makers in the industry, for example. And based on that, you can write a trade article. Case studies, again, rather unutilized way of sharing research from in my field at least. But case studies is basically a description of a specific case application of your research. So for example, in my work, I do work on carbon capture storage, for example, and I could do a case study on retrofit of specific carbon capture plant to a pulp and paper industry, for example. And I would describe how would that work. I would describe the implications on performance, economics, life cycle assessment, and so on. So mostly case study is to represent that specific set of outputs, okay? And you can have a number of case studies based on your research. Datasets, again, we're going towards open science, so that means you are most likely to share your datasets as well. So datasets is the primary or secondary data that you collected during your research, and you might want to share it with others so that others can reanalyze or build on your data. And that datasets tend to be open access, so that could actually achieve bigger impact of your research, right? And then last but not least, we've got a creative content. So creative content is anything that you put on social media: videos, photos, presentations, webinars, live sessions, like this one, for example. So anything that you put on social media can be considered, or over the internet, can be considered as a creative content. So the question is this: who will find your work useful, right? Who do you think will find your work useful? And if you think about who you can serve with your research, you can realize that there are some ways that are better to actually contact with them and share your research with them. So for example, policymakers may not read academic papers. They might read briefing documents because they don't have time to go through all of the methodology, introduction, and so on. They just want the concrete answers. For example, you might have graduate students who will go through the academic papers but may not know about that paper, and you may just share some posts about it on social media so that more people find out that your paper exists, right? You get the message. So basically, think about who your audience is, who will benefit from your paper or for your research, and then how you can contact them. So this is how you can, drive the dissemination strategy for your research. So I basically put this one as, we've got the journals, very well established traditional way of doing things, right? And then you've got the creative content, social media. Some people think social media, putting stuff on social media is low quality. It doesn't go through peer review, so it doesn't add any to any impact. But I believe that these two work together, right? So it's not either or. I think you have to do both, because journals, basically, as I mentioned, they give you the quality stamp, while creative content, social media activity gives you the visibility, helps you to build track record, expert track record, and then as a result, your journals will be discovered by more people. So you can see the correlation there. So let me describe the benefits of both and then how you can use them together. So why do you publish in journals? There is lots of reasons why do you publish in journals. Of course, gold standard for scientific output, and I've got a typo over there, that's all right. It's peer reviewed by the experts in your field. I've already mentioned that basically it's peer reviewed. It means that you get feedback on your papers, and if there are any significant omissions, if your research is not sound, it will not be published, right? But if it's sound, if it makes sense, if people agree with it, then it will be published, and that's why you get the feedback from the experts in your field. The benefit of publishing in journals is the fact that you already publish to a community, right? Each journal brings a community around it, and as a result, once the new papers are published, many people will read the entire issue. So as a result, you can share your research directly with people who are interested in your research. Another benefit of publishing in journals is that your name is associated with the results that you produce, or with the novelty and contribution that you make. As a result, you become recognized for that specific contribution. This helps you with your career progression, helps you with discoverability as well, because journals are usually very well optimized for search. So that means your research you can be found in World of Science, Scopus, PubMed, and any other databases where the papers are stored. You can also, so basically the benefits of publishing in journals is the fact that other people can reuse your research. They can link back to you, they can cite your work, they can build on your work. That's wouldn't be possible if you just publish an element of your paper, or so some of the results on your social media. So basically, journals give you the kind of a space where you can explain in detail what you did, how you did that, and what are the implications of this. Okay. Another thing that makes me publish papers is the fact that if I make my paper open access, then everyone can access this paper. They can also access data. In many cases, we do share our data with others. So that means any data behind figures, tables, sometimes even our models. We do share that. So that means that the community around in our research area can use this data that we produced, and that can save them time, right? Save them time developing the same model, save them time generating the same set of data. So that's all about sharing and working together. So on the other hand, why do you want to publish a creative content, so social media content? So basically, you can immediately make your research open access, and you can make it available immediately. So that means you don't have to wait for the peer review process, which can take about 2 to 6 to 12 months sometimes. Of course, it is a quality control process, but of course, it takes time. So before you actually write up your paper, till the publication and till other people can learn about your outcome, it can take up to a year or even more sometimes. So that's a difficult subject about when you think about journals, because you can discover something and then other people will only learn about this after a couple of months. So that is the issue with publishing in journals. Social media can mitigate that, so you can immediately publish your work. You can reach more diverse audience. So if you publish in journals, most likely subscription journals, then your research might be behind paywall if you haven't made your paper open access. So that means many people will not have access to that journals. So industrial professionals, policymakers may not be aware of the research going on in their area of expertise, mostly because they don't have access to that paper. So making sure that your research is as widely available as possible can help you reach more diverse audience, hence sharing the knowledge more broadly. You might again leverage existing communities. Some of the social medias, Facebook, LinkedIn, they have groups, right? So in groups gather people interested in the same subject. For example, there is a group for carbon capture that I'm a member of, and we do discuss some of the recent developments on carbon capture over there. You can engage with your audience on social media, which means something like we're going to do later in this live session. We're going to do some Q&A if you've got any questions. So we're going to basically, you can talk to me, right? Of course, you'll be typing the comments. Want to bring up some live sessions, where you can speak to me as well, but on that, maybe on another time. But basically the engagement is there. So you can directly receive feedback from the audience and just, clarify, explain, or maybe just add some more value. Okay, so that's the main benefit over there. You can build relationships and collaborations. I've done that a lot on LinkedIn for the past couple of months right now. basically, whenever I put some of my stuff on LinkedIn, there is always a new ideas coming up for further research, for further work. So that's the value of sharing your content. And it doesn't need to be complicated, right? It doesn't need to be, you don't need to spend hours on a day doing that. It is 5 to 10 minutes usually. We want to post some quality content out of your research. And at the end of the day, your thought leadership posts, blog articles, videos will build your profile as the expert profile. So people will recognize that you are the expert in this specific area. This is you've provided them with the evidence in the forms of case studies, data, project descriptions, webinars, and so on. So you become a go-to expert in this specific research area, and that would further elevate your research impact and your profile and your career, right? So which can achieve more impact? This is the ultimate question that we keep asking ourselves. So do you publish in journals? Do you just share your work as a creative content? Do you do both? And I think I already made a spoiler at the very beginning, but let me show you a little bit of a comparison before I tell you what I do in my research. So when you look at, the papers, I selected 2 papers that I published over the past 3 years. So one is fairly recent paper published last year in Applied Thermal Engineering, which is one of my former PhD students published. And basically, you can see that on Mendeley, it just indicates that there is 10 readers of that paper. So this paper was read 10 times, no citations so far. And I shared the same paper, of course, author accepted copy, right? So that there is no issue with it. I shared that with people on LinkedIn in the form of a document. And you can see that it was viewed more than 10,000 times, reshared a couple of times, and quite a lot of likes, comments, and so on. So you see the value of that, okay? Another paper published a couple of years ago on combined heat and power generation with direct air capture. It had about 80 readers on Mendeley, about 20 citations, because it was published about 4 years ago right now. But then I had, I shared it on LinkedIn again. Again, this one is open access, so I could share the full version of it. So it had about 42,000 views over the past couple of months, and so many engagement under the post as well. So we exchanged ideas over there. I had 1 or 2 quite good discussions of social media later on about this paper and how we can take that concept further. Hopefully, the projects are coming up based on that work. So stay tuned on that. Okay, so you can see that, of course, publishing in journals, making your research open access will influence how many people actually read your work and how many people actually have access to it. But sharing that further with your community through social media, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever you're comfortable with, will have a definitely impact. And I know some people say that, well, we published that paper already. That's the journal's responsibility to share that research, and I'm not the social media expert and I don't want to bother with it. But I guess that it's our role as academics to actually share our research as widely as possible, and I guess social media gives us that opportunity. So it's not, that you have to do it, it's a matter of choice. But I guess if you want to share your research more widely with more people, then you would definitely use social media. So I believe that both are important, but I guess creative content can help you reach more people, which means that you do have to publish your work in the academic journals so that you basically get that quality stamp and you make sure that your research is valid and that you've got a claim to that specific novelty. But on the other hand, sharing that work later on in your networks, with your social media networks, can achieve more impact because you will lead to more reads, it will lead to more engagement with your work, it will lead to more usage, which means not only citations, right? Citations is one thing. It doesn't really matter how many citations you have. What really matters is how people use that research and whether it can contribute to making our world a better place for all. Okay, so this is the main message I want to leave you with. I believe that both are important. I believe that we don't have to, right? We get to do social media right now because that's one of the things that that can help us build the track record, build the experience, share the knowledge with a more wider audience. So what to share on social media? I've mentioned that briefly, right? I know this is something that I get asked a lot by people I mentor around, using LinkedIn. So what do you want to publish, right? LinkedIn and Facebook give you lots of opportunities to publish your work or share your work. But the most important thing is you have to find what you enjoy the most, right? So if you're not comfortable with making videos like this or making the audio recordings or podcasts, then you don't have to do it. There are other ways where you can share your research. You can create graphs, you can create slides, webinars, you can create posts that briefly explain the implications of your work. You can share your journey you actually went through to actually generate that results. So all of this is really exciting. And even though my area is engineering, I always find it exciting when people from other areas actually share their research, because this is how we grow and this is how we grow our knowledge. So make sure that you make use of the tools that are available to you, and think about what you feel comfortable doing, and then just do it. You might try to go out of your comfort zone from time to time just to see how that works. And for example, 2 years ago, I had a discussion with Magda about doing live videos, and I said I'm never going to do live videos. And there you go. I do it quite a lot right now. So yeah, try to go out of your comfort zone sometimes, and you would be surprised how enjoyable that could be. So we got to the end of what I wanted to show you, and I hope that I convinced you that using social media can elevate the impact of your research. And even though journals will remain quite important part of our academic life, I believe that we can extend the impact of that specific way of sharing your research by considering different output outlets, including trade magazines, briefing documents, case studies, but also creative content. If you would like to learn more about how you can develop your social media profiles, let me know. I'm happy to help, happy to mentor you. Okay. If you like my work, you can support it on Ko-fi, so you can buy me a coffee, and I would really appreciate this. This helps me generate better videos and focus more time on doing these activities. If you've got any idea on the videos or topics that I should cover, do let me know, because I've got a list of topics that I want to cover, and yeah, hopefully that will be useful for you. Final message that I want to leave you with is that sharing your research is important, because we don't want to you don't want to spend years of your work time doing something that no one will read. Okay, so that's why we do have to find ways to actually get to people who will be interested in what we do. And I believe that there will be lots of people interested in what you do. I would like to read some of your work, and I hope you will start sharing that on LinkedIn or social media, because otherwise I might not hear about this, right? So if you're listening to this, please do let me know what your research is. And if you want me to share it with others, please do let me know. Happy to share that on my LinkedIn profile as well. If you would like to talk to me about how we can work together in terms of sharing your research, improving your academic communication skills, learning to write papers, or building your social media skills, please do let me know. I'm sure Magda and I will be happy to help in terms of developing your digital skills and developing your academic skills, so that you can enhance your future career. Hope this was useful, and I will talk to you soon.